So, Claire, we've got an update to a story that we covered in one of our previous podcasts, haven't we, about
We
Australia
do.
and its social media ban.
We absolutely do. So, in episode 3, we talked a little bit about the social media ban coming into effect in Australia for under 16s. Meta is going to start disabling accounts from December 4th, but the ban comes into effect on December 10th. Now, what's happened in the meantime is that on November 26th, an official challenge to the law came through. So it's been filed by 2 teenagers. One person, I've got my notes here, Noah Jones and Macy Neeland have filed it. They are 15 years old, so they would be affected directly by the ban. Their challenge is being backed by a group called the Digital Freedom Project, which is headed by an Australian parliamentarian named John Ruddock, who's affiliated to the Libertarian Party. So this is an interesting meeting of minds. Noah and Macy's key problem with the legislation is that they believe it affects their freedom to socialize, to talk, to have a voice, and to basically thrive. And having a voice is a particular challenge. It's not the same as freedom of speech. What they are particularly challenging is their ability to politically engage, especially as they're coming of the age when they will start to vote. A social media ban effectively, they argue, cuts them off from information that will help them decide. And that is a key thing because apparently Australia doesn't have free speech protections in the same way. But it's interesting because the Digital Freedom Project, their main concerns with this, in an interesting turn of events, I suspect some of it might be motivated by business practices. For example, the Australian government was expecting a challenge from Google, for example, because YouTube is included in that social media ban. But the Digital Freedom Project's main problem seems to be about the unequal effect it will have on children's ability to socialize, particularly if they're in marginalized or vulnerable groups.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because on the one hand, you've got the government effectively saying this will help children be more sociable with those around.
Yeah. And with huge popular support as well, by the way. Like a majority support this rule. Yeah.
Of course, you've got some children, or those who are, 15 or so, saying, well, actually, lots of my friends are online.
Exactly. And I think, these kids are not alone in having raised challenges to this rule because, if you do live in a rural or remote area, your ability to socialize and communicate with your friends is by necessity hampered by this rule, right? We can't go back to an age of landlines or, other ways of communicating. And I think we've long passed the point where SMS is the primary method of communication. It would restrict people's ability to communicate and particularly share culture, right? Especially if culture is happening in social media. Can we wind back the clock? Big question mark there. And then also separately, will it then drive kids to platforms that aren't regulated? So the ban includes all the major social media platforms. It also includes Twitch. It includes YouTube. But interestingly, Discord and Roblox have taken proactive measures to restrict accounts for under 16s because they anticipate that extensions to the law will apply to them. So they're bringing it into force early. Now, if all those avenues are cut off, it doesn't mean that social media in general is cut off. It sometimes means that things will spring up and take its place. And do you want those unregulated, unseen, unknown environments in your kids' lives?
So this basically continues. We await the results of this court case.
We do. We await the results of the court case and also the early implementation processes. Also to say that this has huge popular support, and in the UK as well, parents and policymakers are watching to see the effect of this law, its ability to be practically useful and rolled out in the UK. And I think, more to come.
If you're interested in this and all other topics around attention and the attention economy, remember to subscribe to our podcast, Can We Have Your Attention? You can find it wherever you get your podcasts.